So this is a problem. I put so much work into these little art pieces that I do not want them peeling apart. So I thought today what I would do is take out all the glues that I've used and test each of them and to see which one really holds up the strongest over time. Because as you can see, a few sections, this little piece here and these little blue pieces here are coming unstuck, but the background is really nicely stuck. I don't remember if I used the same kind of glue throughout or I just didn't use enough glue in these sections. So I'm gonna do a little bit of experimenting to see which glue holds the strongest. I'm going to test a few different glues and we're going to get to the bottom of this problem. The Liquid-X acrylic medium gloss gel. Yes paste. This one is really strong. I can't even get that open. Aleene's original tacky glue. Barely Art precision craft glue. The clear Elmer's white school glue, 2 brands of glue stick. I have a few glue pens, and my favorite paper mache paste is Prit art paste. And those are our glues. What I thought I would do, I would take a piece of watercolor paper as my background because that is what I used for this. It's all glued down onto a piece of watercolor paper. So I'm going to put down a little protection on my table. Take out my handy dandy scissors. Now, one of the things I don't know if I did properly is maybe all of these glues are amazing and they glue so strong. However, maybe I just didn't use enough of whatever kind of glue I happen to be using. So this time I'm going to really slather it on, especially this glue stick, just like a kid in primary school who runs out of his glue stick halfway through September. Now I'm going to try the Elmer's. Is that even sticky? Yeah, they're pretty fresh glue sticks. This one goes on much smoother. It's not as sticky. Elmer's white. And I'm going to smear this on so it touches every surface. Okay, so this is my Elmer's white. Elmer's clear. I wonder what the difference is. Make sure it goes right to the edges. The other issue with school glue is it's not archival, so it's not going to last years and years and years, the bond. Aleene's tacky glue. I wonder how different it is from the Elmer's school glue. Look at that. This is so much thicker. I don't want to take too much off. I just want to make sure it really touches every edge. Okay. The next one we have is this one. That's been my favorite one for the last little while, which is Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. And this one comes with interchangeable tips of different sizes and a needle to unclog them. Isn't that amazing? Such a cool little invention. So that has a really fine tip and a little bit bigger. For this, I'll use the little bit bigger one, and it just comes out beautifully. Look at that. So this is another white glue, much stickier than the school glue. There is a difference, you wouldn't think, because this is now the third glue that looks just like white glue. Ooh, look at my fingers. So those are all the white glues. Now I'm gonna start the glues that are different. So this next one is the Prit art paste. And I've already have some pre-mixed, and I realize I don't have a brush here, so I'm just gonna use my finger. There's some left at the bottom. It's, I mean, normally I wouldn't apply it on this thick, but it's because it's old, so it doesn't have much water. Oh my God. That's a little bit thick. This is a little over the top. Oh, God. Okay, smoosh. Look at this. And just cleaning up the edges so it's real pretty. Liquid Gloss Gel. Again, I don't have a brush, so I'm going to be using my finger. Look at that, it comes off nicely. I didn't get it all gunged up. So this is a acrylic medium. All right, so I'm gonna stick my finger in here, take out a little bit of this. This feels a lot like the white glue. It's sort of a similar consistency, but feels better. It's very silky. Normally I would apply this with a brush, which is kind of why I don't like using it, because I work with very tiny, tiny pieces sometimes. So with the brush, it can be a bit of a pain, and you have to wash your brush. And the longer you use the brush, the more the glue is drying on it. All right, I'll be very smart. Take the glue off of there. This is a very strong glue. Acid-free, yes, paste. This is the glue I always use to bond my watercolor paper onto these boxes. So it does really stick, although I am noticing that there are sections here that are peeling off. So I don't know. I don't know, yes, I don't know, but can you open that? Jeez. This I'm gonna put aside. I'm gonna have to soak this in some hot water to see if I can get it open. The next are my blue glues. So these are in pen form. Sometimes I look at, I don't know if that helps, but oh man. Okay, there it's coming, you can see. Here, I'll do it on this side so you can see. It is blue glue. So the issue with this is I only use it for really tiny things. So I'm gonna cut this because it's a waste of glue to glue that whole thing. So let me go right to the corners, and it dries super fast. So by the time I get to the other edge, that edge might be unglued. You can see it's already drying over there. There, stuck. Zig memory system. Takes a while to get going. You gotta pump it and let it kind of fill up. This stuff is super sticky. It's hard to get off even with soapy water. So that's the blue glue. I'm just going to run and get this yes open, hopefully. Dip this into boiling water. There is air coming out, so it's not completely sealed. Ta-da! It's a great hack. Dip it in boiling water. It looks like it's cracked and dried out, but I mean, this stuff is the real deal. Well, how I usually do it is I dip a credit card in there, an old credit card, and just take out a little bit like that. And then I put a layer, put that on here to flatten it. These are all the glues that I own. I'm gonna cover this with a piece of plastic and then put a heavy book on top so it all dries perfectly flat. And in about a week, I will check back in to see which one of these holds. Hi there, back again. It's only been a couple of days, but I just wanted to come in and take my little glue experiment out from under the plastic, because if it they're still damp and some of them are sticky around the edge. All of them are perfectly stuck. They're perfectly flat. And now I can put them in the air and let them dry naturally and come back in a few days, weeks, months, and see how they do over time. See you soon. weeks. Are you ready to see the results? Here we go. I don't believe this. It turns out that every single one of these glues is stuck on tight. It was not the glue, it was user error. This gal right here was not using enough glue. This is what the results have told me, because here we are 2 weeks later, every single piece of paper is perfectly glued down to the background. Nothing is peeling, nothing has lifted off, but let's take a closer look if there is one of them that is the best. Let's start with the glue sticks, the Pritt and the Elmer's. They're both dried flat. They have a secure bond. They're not peeling. They are dried clear. And the surface of the background paper is flat. I will give it 5 out of 5. The Elmer's white glue. It looks as though it is slightly warping the background paper. Elmer's white, I will give 4 out of 5. The Elmer's clear glue, pretty much the same as the Elmer's white. Tiny bit of warping. So I'm going to give the Elmer's clear a 4.5 out of 5. Now moving on to the Aleene's Tacky. Aleene's Tacky, I'm gonna give you a 5 out of 5. Barely Art, exactly the same as the Aleene's Tacky. I'm gonna give that a 5 out of 5 as well for the Barely Art. The Pritt Art Paste, it does have a slight bend in it. It is very secure, there's no peeling edges, and it's very clear. Out of all of them, this is the worst offender for warping the background paper. It has completely warped the background paper. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I definitely will not be using the Pritt Art Paste for my projects, even though it says right on there that it is for collage. I'm just going to use this for paper mache. It works great for paper mache. Liquid-X Gloss Gel, dried quite flat, very secure bond. Corners aren't peeling off. Clear. It is slightly warping the surface. I'm not sure how much that has to do with it being beside the Pritt paste and it's just warped that paper. But it is slightly warping the background paper. I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5. All right, Yes Paste, very flat, very secure bond, absolutely no peeling, very clear. No warping to the surface at all. However, where it's thick, it is raised underneath. So unless you smooth it on perfectly flat and thin over the whole background, completely equal, you might have some sections that are raised up. Can't really deduct a point for that. It's user error. So I'm gonna have to give the Yes a 5 on 5. The Sakura Blue Glue, and I'm gonna go right ahead and give the same marks for the Zig Blue Glue. Flat drying, secure bond, no peeling, perfectly clear, and the surface is not warped at all. That's an easy 5 out of 5. There's a few things that I would like to consider. The first is that it has only been 2 weeks. Maybe if I come back a year from now, they'll all be peeled off, or some of them will be peeled off. So maybe it just hasn't been long enough, and some of the glue, over time, the bond deteriorates and they will peel off. I will put this aside. Any changes, I will come back and update this video. The other thing is, again, because of the time, it's only been 2 weeks, this glue hasn't had time to interact with the changing of the seasons. Maybe in the winter when the house dries out because of the central heating, it affects the glue. Maybe the dampness of springtime affects the glue. What have I decided? I'm gonna keep working like I've been working. I will use different kinds of glue depending on the size of the paper that I'm gluing down. If I'm gluing down something very small like these circles here, if I'm gluing down a line, a thin line, I'm going to use one of the glues like the Zig Blue Glue, the Sakura Blue, the Barely Art, that has a small tip. The smaller the tip, the more precise I can get with my gluing. It's very difficult when you're working on a tiny little circle like this to use a paintbrush dipped in Liquid-X gloss gel. If I have a big piece, like this blue piece here, fine, I can go ahead and use white glue. I can use glue stick. The main thing is to use enough glue. I can see the gaps where I haven't put enough glue. What I can see very easily after only 2 weeks, some of the glues that had more liquid content have soaked into that watercolor paper, and as everything dried, the fibers in the paper have tightened and it has warped the paper. The best ones that are perfectly flat are the Aleene's Tacky and the Barely Art, and then the 2 blue stick glues. Those are beautifully flat, and even the glue stick ones are beautifully flat. Gluing is tricky. There's a right and a wrong way to use glue, and what I've learned is you really need to use enough of it, and you really need to cover every surface. I just love the look of the raw paper. So because I frame my finished artwork now behind glass, it's really important that it stays glued down, because I'm not covering it with a matte medium. I'm not covering it with a varnish that would also act as a glue layer to seal it in there. Really important for me to find the glue that sticks over the long haul. I've learned that I need to use glue better. My advice to you, use any glue that you have. All of it works, and use enough of it. If you want to see some more of the artwork that I've made on these boards, I will put that video in the description below, and I hope you give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time with a whole lot more collage art tips and tricks and ideas for you. See you next time. Bye.